Ghosts in Us contains serious and sometimes disturbing events and is not suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. My name is Blaine Rezach. And in my short time as a paranormal investigator, I've seen some unexplainable things.
The hell was that?
I don't feel comfortable from over there.
While I love experiencing stuff for myself during investigations, what I'm most interested in is hearing other people's experiences. In this podcast, you'll join me listening to these stories firsthand because this is Ghosts in Us. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ghosts in Us podcast. This is episode 2, and I'm sitting here with my good friend, Becca. We went to college together, and I was telling everybody about you. At the end of my last episode, I was talking about how you had some stories. So, what happened? I know you used to say your house, like your parents' house was like haunted, right?
Yeah.
So what happened? Let's get into that.
Okay. So I do have lots of different stories. Just to kind of put that out there first. Like I feel as though ghosts kind of cling to me sometimes, especially in college. Like it was pretty heavy in college, but at my house, I have a couple different ghost stories. So there's one where I think I was in high school or middle school. I was putting on makeup in my bedroom, and all of a sudden I felt a pull on the back of my collar of my shirt, and it was strong enough that it knocked me off balance, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit, and I was like, what the heck? Okay. So I went back and it did it again. I could feel something just go into my shirt, grab my collar, and then just gently pull me backwards. So I ended up talking to my grandma about this, who used to live in the house. And my grandma is also very into ghost stories, and she believes in ghosts. And so I knew that I could talk to her about it. And it turns out that my grandpa, who had passed away in the house, hated when my mom or my aunt would put on makeup.
Oh.
So my grandma thought that it was possibly my grandpa telling me, hey, you don't need that, or you don't need to do that.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I like that little connection there.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yeah. And then so then that got me talking with my grandma about just like ghost stories and stuff that she has seen. And I had seen this man walk around my parents' house before. So I could vividly see he had a red flannel shirt on, and I could see him walk in the window above where my mom like washes the dishes, like where the sink is in the kitchen. And I started talking about that guy, and like he didn't really do anything. I just saw him out of the corner of my eye every once in a while.
Right.
My grandma said that she used to see him all the time too, when she lived out at the house.
I love when stories connect.
Mm-hmm. So like those are the kind of the two big ones at my parents' house.
Okay.
But yeah.
So
go ahead.
What's something that impacted you that were like, nah, this isn't actually happening?
I mean, the first, like the one with my grandpa was like, whoa, like that's insane. Like that can't be happening, because I thought, oh, maybe it's just, maybe I was just clumsy and I was off balance, but I physically felt my shirt move. And there was nobody behind me. There was no, like, my fan wasn't on, nothing was on, but I felt it, and it freaked me out.
So what else has happened to you?
So the major one that happened was in college. So it was actually when I lived in the trads on the UWGB campus.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've probably told you about this, but I don't remember. So there was one night when I was walking out of my bedroom and I was going in to wash my hands like at the vanities, and I just saw this really tall figure down the hallway by the refrigerator, and it was just standing there. And I didn't get any sense of like I'm in danger or like any bad feeling. It was just there was just a person standing there. And it was like a really tall person too. So I was like, huh, that's so weird. And then of course by the time I look over, he's gone.
Right.
This happened, I think, multiple different times. And for some reason, I just got this feeling that it was like a Native American person. And then they were just, that it was almost like they were guarding me because they were at the very end of the hallway. They didn't move. That's just where they stood.
Okay.
Come to find out, in one of my First Nations studies classes, the UWGB campus is built on a Native American burial ground.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was just like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. And I thought maybe it was just in that apartment. It wasn't. I moved into my one of the nicer apartments on campus,
Yeah.
and the guy followed me. So I would walk out of my bedroom in the apartments on campus, like the newer ones, and I'd see him out of the corner of my eye. He would be I was at the end of the other end of the hallway. So he was on my left side now instead of my right. But
Mm-hmm.
he was right there. It was like he was guarding my room. And
That's nuts.
it was so weird. Like my mom came and she tried saging and like doing like a prayer to kind of get him out to go, but he didn't leave. He just
That's they
he
just stayed
stayed
there.
he just stayed there the entire year.
That's nuts. What if I have something to tell you. I was reading this book. It's excuse me. There's a book called Haunted Green Bay. You can pick it up at like Barnes and Noble by us, essentially. Um, I'm not. It's a weird plug, sure, why not? But the guy who wrote it, his name is I think his name is Timothy Zeiss. I think his last name is. Um, he wrote about a bunch of like different haunted locations in Green Bay, and one of the places is UW Green Bay.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. There's a specific dorm building. I think it's one of the freshman ones though. I don't actually
Okay.
know which. I can't remember like the layout because it's obviously been how long since I graduated, and obviously you graduated a couple years ago. Um, it's one of the buildings on campus has like they would make shirts and everything saying I survived the haunted dorm and everything back in the day. Like I'm not joking. I read
That's crazy.
that.
Oh my gosh.
Give you a little bit of a chill sensation or what?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was reading that. I actually have it right here. Just I'm gonna his name is Timothy Frice. Sorry, not
you're
Zeiss.
good.
Um, not promoting or anything, but like this is the book.
Okay.
Not sponsored at all. But yeah, there's a section in here about UW Green Bay.
That's
It's
insane.
yeah.
I would love to know which dorm because it would be really funny if that was actually the dorm that I stayed in my freshman year.
But yeah, it that like really freaked me out. Maybe I want to go back to GB and like just talk to anybody who lived in that building. I just can't remember the name of which one it is. Um, but yeah, I never had an experience in Green Bay, and I'm really sad that I didn't get that. I think I was just too busy not doing my work.
Yeah, it was just that one was one that was like a continuous one, and that one kind of changed me too because I've never had like a ghost follow me that hardcore, I guess.
Right.
But then also, in that same trad that I lived in, um, Elena actually had like an instant too.
Really?
And
She never
and
said
Elena
anything.
and Elena doesn't believe in like she didn't believe in ghosts and stuff like that. But there was one night I think I wasn't there and she said she had her laptop open and she said all of a sudden she just heard something like her computer start typing.
That's
she, and she said it like freaked her out. And then she like woke up and her computer wasn't even on. like nothing was on, but she heard the typing.
That's so weird.
Mm-hmm. So
That's so
I know.
See, uh we just did an investigation at this house in Manitowoc. It's one of my friends, like my friend Taylor, she's my co-lead investigator on our team. She has a friend of her dad's that we just went to, and we he would say about how it would mess with like the electronic stuff and like start doing weird stuff with like his phone and everything, I think. And it's weird how they can like try and communicate through different ways, like the way they make you feel. Like I went into the bathroom because this guy, there's a disclaimer before this episode where we talk about how like this may contain sometimes disturbing events and things like that. This guy had an overdose in this house and he passed away. And he had passed in the bathroom. So like going off of like that, I went into the bathroom by myself and I just sat in there, and I just started feeling the pressure of like on my shoulders. Like just I like my body just wanted to like keep slouching over, like I'm keeling over. It was really weird, and I was like, I can't sit in there anymore. And like it actually killed one of our cameras batteries and everything. It was weird, like it was insanely weird. And like it kept manipulating this device it's called an envoy. So like it takes um the electromagnetic field in the air, and if the spirit can alter it, it can like change the response. So like it has like a yes no feature. Like it weirdly has like an emoticon like feature where it can tell you like how it's feeling. Oh, about the microphone. It has like a emotion feeling, so you can tell you if it's happy, sad, whatever. And like we had it on the yes or no, and it kept switching it to from yes and no to like there's like a letter feature. It can spell out words if it wants, if it can. And it kept switching back and forth on camera, and we have it like captured on camera. It's so weird how it can like manipulate different types of electronic equipment to like go clickety clack on a keyboard or things like that. Like I've heard plenty of stories where they're just like, yeah, it texted me, it called me on my phone, and I can't call the number back. It's so weird. Like I don't understand how that works. Like I'm trying to figure that out, but it's just uh, it unknown. I don't know how else to say it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of cool, like just investigating that kind of stuff too, is like you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
But
just to
it's
like
just
even communicate, just be like, hey, it's
yeah.
like okay to move on, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's I guess that's why they call it paranormal, because it's not normal. you know
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm a terrible podcast host. This is why I didn't lead my last one when I was part of a different podcast group. That's why I didn't lead. uh,
You're fine. You're doing good.
Thank you. So I something I want to ask you is, do you believe that, were you always a believer in like spirits, or was this something like after you witnessed it, that's when you were like, yep, that's the thing?
And I've always been a believer in that kind of stuff. My mom is very much a believer. My grandma is too. My dad isn't, but like I can talk to my mom about this kind of stuff. Like my mom has had stuff happen in our house too. Like she feels somebody sit at the end of the bed. She smells smoke every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like that kind of stuff. Like so I've always believed in it.
Yeah, that was the same for me too. Just as a kid, I had like a weird fascination with things, and I was just like, ghost stories are a thing, and like that. I'm a person where like if a story has to be a story has to be based around some type of inspiration, obviously, and like people don't just say like people don't just always make up ghost stories. Like yeah, there's fabricated ones like for like attractions and stuff like that, but like
Yeah.
if multiple different people can tell you the same story at different points in time and they all line up together, I think that calls for something. And I mean, I get if people are skeptic, I'm not here to just be like, you should believe because it's a thing or anything like that. It's not what I'm about. But like, I don't know, just if you can keep an open mind, I think that's probably the best way to go about most things. Just be open minded. I don't want to discredit anybody with a story, you know? So that's my stance on it.
Mhm.
Do you have anything else you'd like to share, Becca? Or we can keep this pretty short then and sweet.
Yeah, I have one more. So
Oh, yes,
this
please.
one is I feel like is my most insane one.
Oh, save the best for last. All
Um,
right, all right.
yeah. So I was at my cousin's house who lives in Appleton, and she already has like issues with ghosts. Like she has two of them that stay in her house and
Okay.
are there and whatever. So I was spending the night and I was in the guest room with my other cousin. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and this has never happened to me since, but I experienced sleep paralysis. So
Okay.
I was awake, but I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, I couldn't do anything. And while I was in sleep paralysis, there was like this really dark figure that was standing in the doorway. And I could just feel that it wasn't good. Like it was
Okay.
not like I felt like I needed to wake up my other cousin who was laying next to me. And I was like, we need to like get out because this is not good. But I couldn't move. I couldn't talk. Um, I was literally trying so hard just to turn my body away from the door. And it took probably like 10 to 15 minutes for me to just be able to turn. And so then I kind of like pretended that the thing wasn't there because I know I couldn't do anything about it because obviously I was in a sleep paralysis thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so then I just ended up falling back asleep. The next morning, I my cousin tells me, she's like, well, I woke up in the middle of the night, and she said her door was open, and she said I saw this green like kind of light on the ceiling in between the guest room and my room.
Mm-hmm.
And she said it was so weird. And she said the dogs were all in our room and they kind of like, I think one of them growled at it too, or something like that. And it fit in with about the same time that I was experiencing the sleep paralysis. And like, so we were just like, whoa, that's super crazy. Turns out whatever I saw stayed
It
and
stayed.
yes, it stayed at their house and kind of wreaked havoc a little bit. So they have like a baby gate in the hallway. It was like angrily shaking the baby gate. Um, I think things were falling when they weren't supposed to. Um, it was just, it was like a heavy emotion was like in the house. So my
Right.
cousin ended up having to sage and it finally went away. But it was my cousin told me I'm no longer allowed to sleep over at her house anymore because it only happened when I was
Okay.
so. But that was the first time that I've ever, and I've never experienced sleep paralysis since. Like that was the only time that I have ever experienced something like that.
Did you notice any like weird smells or anything? Or do you
No,
remember?
not really. It was just like this black figure was in the doorway.
Okay.
And I want to say that there was red like in the eyes. I'm not 100% sure because it was a while ago.
Right, right.
But I just knew and I knew that like it freaked me out. I knew that it wasn't good. And I knew that I needed to like just not look at it
Right.
because it was so weird.
The only reason I ask is that like if you noticed weird smells like something that's smelling like sulfur or like rotten eggs or anything, obviously that can be more demonic entity
Mhm.
according to like the lore and what we believe to be a demon in the spiritual realm, I guess. Um, but there are more negative, like poltergeist type entities that are
Mhm.
just like, I think that can do what you described. So like, if you didn't notice any smells, that's a good sign. Granted, yeah, it wreaked havoc, but it's a good sign that
Mhm.
nothing super evil was there. But like negative wise, man, that's nuts. I mean, you said it's gone, right? Like they don't experience anything anymore.
Yeah, they don't like it was just until they saged. Like it was and then it just disappeared. Like it was fine.
That's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird. Like, it is that all they did is sage?
Yeah, so I think I don't know if they saged once or twice, but like they did that and I think because I am part Native American, like my grandma grew up on the
Mm-hmm.
reservation. Like we have certain prayers that we use while we're saging.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Okay, then yeah, that would make sense then.
yeah, so like I know that they did that. So I don't know if it took once or twice, but yeah, I know that that's all they did is they saged and then told them to leave and it left. So
All right, well, that's good. That's okay. So that makes more sense. Because usually people who just do like normal saging, like, yeah, that can help give you, I feel it can give you more ease of mind. I don't know if it
mhm,
completely solves the problem.
mhm,
Um, if it's something truly negative, but I don't make the rules, so I don't always know. But no, that's insane. And I really appreciate you sharing your stories.
mhm, no problem.
Um, So I think with that, I'm going to wrap this up, and we're gonna keep it a brief 20-minute episode. I think that's really good, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today, Becca. I
Mhm.
know we had to reschedule once already, but I really appreciate it. Anyway, so thank you so much for listening to the podcast. You can follow us on Spotify. If you give us a You can watch this video feed on Spotify. If you leave us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice, that'd be greatly appreciated. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because I have a couple of investigation videos that are going to be coming up relatively soon. I got one in the works right now, and then we have another 2 scheduled for both June and July. So you should subscribe and stay tuned to that, because my team and I have a lot of cool things coming. And if you want, follow us on our socials at Ghost and Us everywhere. So thank you guys so much for listening. And I will see you all next time in the next episode of this podcast. Thank you, Becca, again.
You're so welcome.